man. They gonna get the real. They
Yeah,
gonna get
man.
the real, man.
Yeah, they gonna get it. They gonna get it all, roots and all, bro. I'm about to dread mine up next week. So I'm taking out the
Hey,
braids and we about to get my crown ready. So
you know.
yeah, man. All right, people. Thanks for tuning in. This is Tasso and Willie. We are speaking on mental health. Usually it's Mental Health Mondays, but today is Friday. We decided to just push it back a little bit. We had a couple questions and things that we wanted to speak on specifically. And if you don't know, Willie is a registered therapist. He works a lot with people in that mental health space community, specifically with people who are more academically needy. I am somebody, you can call me your friendly neighborhood schizo. So I'm somebody who has gone through some of these things. And from both of our perspectives, we like to combine and speak on the real, give some real perspectives on mental health, especially as it relates to Black men. So if you're a Black man, keep watching. If you're not, keep watching. It's fine. You can learn something. Regardless, how you doing this week, Willie? What's going on with you, bro?
And to say, I've been practicing my mental discipline.
Yeah,
Bro, just trying to
that's what's
stay
up.
strong. Trying to stay strong, bro. You
How do
know.
you how do you do that, man? Because in this day and age, and we're gonna be talking about that. Today's topic for those who don't know, if I didn't put it in the title, is gonna be about mental strength. And a lot of that ties into this idea of discipline. So I don't know, what has your journey been with that? Or how do you cultivate mental discipline in the day and age where people usually praise you for being the opposite? You usually get encouraged or incentivized to be mentally lazy, to be mindless, to be,
Hey,
you know? I don't know. How do you do that? Can you hear me by
first,
the way? Am I good in the microphone or do I need to switch over?
loud and clear, bro. You crystal clear,
Beautiful.
man. But gotta have an expectation. Gotta have a goal. First things first. You gotta know what you working towards. You know, you can say
True.
you're getting in the gym to work out, but what you working out? What's your goal? How you want your body to look? You know, and to say that everything around me, you know, yeah, it influences me, but is that what I want to be in my future? And that's how I think about it. How are you mentally strong? How are you going to make sure that your environment and your mind goes hand in hand?
That's a good one. So it's almost like being able to overcome your environment in some cases, because a lot of us don't have that option to escape the environment that we're in. To There was a line on Donda. It was 5 Foreign who said, um, they say I'm a product of my environment. I tell them no, I'm a god with this. And that kind
Mm-hmm.
of clicked with me because it's like they want you to be a product of your environment because then you're predictable, then you're in a box, then they can say that this is what you are, right? But to create something new from that brokenness and to make it into something that's beautiful, that is the act of creation. That's what a god does. And so in a way, we are called to kind of transcend these circumstances and show the world that it's possible to be something more than whatever your situation dictates at the moment, right? And that's part of mental strength too, being able to see what's not yet apparent.
That, hey, bro, and to just stay aware, like, yeah, there are many thoughts going around. There are many types of influences, but to say, is that what you really want? I ask myself every day, what do you really want? What makes you happy? What makes you grow towards your goal? And if it doesn't line up with that, who said that I doesn't have, I thought I was free.
Mm,
We should have free choice of what we want to grow in our community, what we want to grow in our spirit, what we want to grow in our mind. To
mhm.
say that, I had to cut the TV off. I had to cut social media off because it got to a certain point in time where I didn't want fear to grow in my mind. And in order to do that, you got to cut certain things off because
I've
it's
had
just
that
like,
too.
man, bro, it is getting to a point in time where I can literally tell that my mind is being shot at. And it's
Hmm.
like, How
Yeah,
many more bullets can I take?
bro.
How many more shots can I take as a
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
as a
It's
human?
hard out here, man. Especially when you're under attack, especially when you're somebody who's standing strong and something is real. Because when your feet are planted in truth, or you're planted firmly on that integrity, people are gonna want to knock you off of that because that only exposes their lack of integrity, their lack of honesty. And so you become a target. And so the way you say it, people shooting at your mind. I feel that sometimes too, bro. It's when I say spiritual warfare out here, that's partially what I mean. It's really out, like people are, whether you're talking about it from a strictly psychological perspective, oh, it's the gaslighting and the fake news or whatever, or you're speaking about it from a actually spiritual perspective. My family comes from, Eastern Africa or Western Africa. So we got very deep ties to some of the old Yoruba religions as well. It's not just Christianity that I come from. I come from some very deep, um, very animistic spiritual practices that have kind of molded the way that my family even practices Christianity, right? And so understanding that that is a reality also shades the way that you approach, different people, because there's a lot of people that still don't understand that spirit world is real. And so they move around without that level of protection. They don't understand, like when they talk about putting on the armor of God in the Bible, it talks about putting on the breastplate of righteousness and the sword of the spirit and all these different like the armaments essentially that are related to different qualities and characteristics. And the point is, if you don't have that righteousness covering your chest, you might have somebody pierce you. If you don't have that truth covering your feet, if you don't have that salvation covering your head, right? You leave yourself open to the enemy, and people don't understand that today. That's a very real part of mental health and mental strength, is being prepared for the darts of the enemy, man. I don't know how else to put it.
What's that saying? Hurt dogs definitely be hollering, bro. And to the
Mm,
point where it's just
mhm.
you can see it now all on media. It's just like
Yeah,
we're hurt. Like we're literally a hurting
yeah,
country. And it's just like you're gonna do what Job did in the Bible as far as man. Like I look at that passage and that parable speaking to the soul of a person who literally lost everything,
it's a
was
powerful
literally
story.
devastated,
Crazy.
had nobody else to blame.
Hmm. It was really
And
just about like how he was going to go through it. Really, at the
still,
end of the day, it was just a story of how he went through it.
how do you go through that? How do you have the mental strength to be like and so bro, I read that when I was young and I didn't really grasp it as far as
Mhm.
getting into all right, this man lost everything. I'm a little bit older now. I don't have kids yet. Still, just the thought of having kids now is more mature. And it's like just to see how the interpretation of what he lost and how he handled it.
Man,
This day and age, people lose control over not getting their food in 3 minutes or less.
yeah.
Like,
We have, bro, we have been so placated in this day and age. We don't understand the value of any, bro. I was hungry yesterday and I was like, I don't feel like cooking. And so I went on one of my burner email accounts, found an Uber, one of those Uber Eats um, coupons or whatever, put it in to my web browser, and I got like two chicken sandwiches, two things of fries, a bunch of like some mashed potatoes and some gravy from KFC and all this stuff for $2, bro. And it was because I only had to pay for the person driving it up there. And so when I did that, I'm thinking in my head, like, we live in a day and age where somebody could literally sit on their butt, not do anything, push a couple buttons, pay a couple bucks, and have food delivered to them. And that's the same people, like we have this level of just, we deserve everything. And so when something takes time, it feels like violence. We're like, wait a second.
Making me wait. Like,
What you mean? Like back then they had to go like spend hours going to hunt the food before they even cooked it, before they even ate it. Nowadays, you telling me I don't even have to move? And
mm,
that's why we are where we are, bro. We don't know the value of nothing, bro, because everything has been given to us on a platter. And it's so
question.
hard to have. Yeah.
Does does technology make us weak or make us stronger?
Ooh. It depends on how you use it, bro. It's kind of like you have a little child who is not able to ride a bike, right? But they want to go somewhere that's maybe like half a mile away. Now, if you teach that kid to ride the bike, then they'll be able to get there faster. The problem is, what if you teach that kid on a tricycle? Or what if you teach that kid and they don't want to get off the bike anymore. They don't want to use their legs anymore.
Mm,
I think we're in this position today where we have been gifted with these tools that can actually help us. The problem is we over rely on these tools, so we can't even really help ourselves anymore. So the tools have now become overpowering to a degree. It's like we're not using them, they're using us. Essentially, like they're gathering our data, they're recording our conversations, they're selling us advertisements, and we think we have some semblance of control because we send out a couple posts on like a social media thing. And
mm.
it's crazy because that's all we have to exercise in this day and age. But that's yeah, technology is a funny one, bro, because it really is. It depends on whose hands it's in. But as of right now, I'd say it's probably a little bit more of a negative than it is a positive, just because it doesn't like the way our brains developed from antiquity to now was in many ways to help us remember and to be more active and engaged in this real reality. Now, since about 2000, our brains have been evolving backwards, bro. We have been
Mm.
evolving backwards. We are going back to our limbic brains where everything is based on a couple buzzes or sounds from a phone can now light up your entire your neuro whatever system where you're getting serotonin shot to your brain because you have a few likes. Like that's rewiring our brains. I remember my mom used to say, yo, I used to be able to remember like 100 phone numbers back in the day when I was living in Africa. I had a phone book with most of the other ones, but I could just remember see somebody's face, know their phone number. As soon as she
Mm.
got a smartphone, within a year, she might have been able to remember five or six. So you telling me that smartphone made her better? I mean, you have all the phone numbers in there, but as far as her brain capacity, I don't know.
Convenience becomes a crutch.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's real.
Convenience becoming
That's
a crutch.
real.
Bro, so I had ended up getting my car stolen back in like February.
Wow.
Somebody literally just drove off with it, man, right in front of my apartment. I'm just like, what's
Dang.
going on? To say that, you know, being mentally strong, especially in a experienced situation like that, where anything could have went wrong. You know, I could have been thinking, let me go get something to defend and keep my honor.
Mhm,
You know, my girl, let me let
mhm.
me show her that I can protect stuff. Like, at what point in time do I sit back and be like, man, how do I handle this situation mentally without, showing that I'm weak? Or does this situation show that I'm weak, like to my lady? Like that's when I'm to the point where I took that L, had to walk, bro. Had luckily we right across the street from the grocery store. But to say that, I had to walk back and forth from the grocery store for about 2 months, because we was just renting cars and stuff like that. But to say
Man.
that I had to go and get food and walk and carry the grocery bags back, and it was just like, wow, this is what they had to do. I'm like, this is what they had to do back in the day. Like, imagine doing this every day where it's like you bring in water, you bring in food, and as a man, we're just lugging this back to our
Yeah.
dwelling. And I'm like, man, as a man in this day and age, we got it so much sweeter. Like I could get in a car, use a cart, like I don't have to carry nothing.
I saw
Feel me?
something
Like
on Facebook that was like some guy was like posing a picture. He's like 6'4", big old dude, and he was posting a picture in his like little tight like polo in front of Target. He's like a Target manager or something like that. And he posted with the caption like 300 years ago I would have been a warrior. I'm like,
yeah, over here
true.
sitting at a
But we
hey,
live in this day and age. This is the culture we live in. And so the way to be a man today has changed a lot too. And I don't want to get into all the craziness with what's going on in terms of this, the gender roles and the sex roles. We already like it's craziness. But at the end of the day, who gets to determine what manhood even is? And then from there, that's how you determine health, because health is just how integrated you are with yourself. If you don't know who you are, if you have no sense of identity, then how can you be healthy? And that's why we have a bunch of people who are running around mentally ill, I believe, but they can't even rectify that with who they are. It's like this tug of war internally. It's like you have this sense of who you are, you have what the culture is telling you to be, you have all these people around you telling you who to be, but who do you say you are? And people who haven't gotten to that level of self-awareness yet, tying it in with last week, it's really hard to figure it out. And
yeah,
it's all like that was kind of the main question that I wanted to focus on today was how do we cultivate that mental strength, bro? Because I don't know. It seems like just going through
starts from the
things is
beginning.
part of the process. You just grow and you learn as you go.
Like you said, bro, we all gaining experiences, and our brains are basically supercomputers in which every time we experience something, it's a new pathway in which it's a connection there.
Yeah.
So, man, to the point where I'm blessed to be a part of my little man's life, where he is so intelligent to the point where he's aware of himself. To the point, he's an artist. He's able to express himself.
You're little man. You
Says,
talking about a client, like one of the people that you serve, or you talking about a kid?
my girl got a kid,
Oh, you
so
got a
I
little. That's
yeah,
that's a
so
real man. That's a
it's
real
not
man
my
flex
first
right
time,
there.
you
Yeah.
feel me?
No, that's real
Yeah.
masculinity right there, bro. Because the way that the culture has it set up, they think if you leave somebody kid, then that's what makes you a man. This day and age, I feel like we need more people that are stepping up to raise this next generation of kids because they don't have nobody right now, bro. They ain't got nobody. But go
To the
ahead, my
point.
bad. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Hey, no, that's good. It's good, and I appreciate that because I look at it as not only me doing things in love of her, but it's an extension of her. So it's just like, I want a
Mhm.
family that everybody is real with each other, and we are able to be like, let me help you. You feel me? Like
Right.
as a family member to
Yeah.
another family member, let me help you.
Yeah.
Let me be your strength as a
Mm,
man to a woman.
mm,
Let me be your strength. Let me be
mm.
your peace. So I seen her, and it was like instantly I
That's
knew she
beautiful.
had a kid, you know, but it was just besides the point how she made me feel, how things in our relationship were growing, and not in the sense of finances, but in the sense of self-awareness, like to the point where we weren't making any money, but we were still able to sustain our living in our place because I'm gonna just say God made it everything able and capable to, for us to sustain ourselves. And it's like, how do you go through that in this day and age and not, give up
Mm.
to the point where you're not giving in to this system, or you're not doing something against your persons to
Right.
obtain something. And it's like the fact that I went through that with her, and not only did I go through that with her, but she, to the point where I have a whole different perspective on Black women than probably any other man around me, because I've
Right.
experienced a whole nother type of love and care and tenderness to the
Yeah.
point where her weakness made me strong, but it was like my weakness was needed for her. Her weakness was needed for me. And it's like when we both got together, our minds literally got stronger and everything around us didn't affect us that much,
That's
to the
beautiful.
point where it's rubbing off on our kid where he's waking up like, I don't want to go to school. I want to create something. And we looking at him like, what? Dude, you 5 years, like you're 5 years old. What are you
Hey,
talking about? But then
got a
it's like,
little God on your
my parents
hands.
would have told me that. like, like you don't want
Yeah.
to go to school, right? Sure. What do you want to create? And it's like, are we
Yeah.
even talking to our kids like that? Are we even trying to figure out what they want
They
to
want to
grow in
do.
this? Exactly,
Man,
bro.
if we started talking to kids as if they little adults instead of actual like because a lot of times we like that's part of the thing with baby talk and all that stuff too. It's like I get it because you think it's a cute little human, but that is a sentient conscious human being who just happens to be a little less mature than you. Speak to them as you would another person. Treat
Hmm.
them with respect and dignity, and they will grow up to respect and dignify themselves. They will grow up to realize that they can be creators, they can do what they want. But if you continually spend their whole childhood telling them to fit in, to be this, to be that, to do this, do that, then they grow up with that mindset, right? And it takes a lot of unlearning to become back to who you truly are. And so that's why these parents out here, man, they have such a big role to play. And I don't know if all of them are taking it seriously because we have this generation where it's become financially incentivized to have a kid. And in some
Yeah.
cases, it's financially incentivized to abdicate responsibility and to let the state take over the reins. And so it's a scary day, bro, because even the parents that are doing a good job of taking care of their kids, you have in some cases the state is now trying to step in and say, hey, we have the right to do with your kids as we please, whether it is related to, especially with this vaccination stuff, with the mandated, I shouldn't even say that word just in case this goes like on YouTube, they be shutting stuff down so quick. But it's just a lot of stuff that's going on. And some of it is under the behind the parents' back. You see some of these town hall meetings or the school board meetings, and some of these parents are really pissed off, and they should be. I made a joke that it's the Karens that might actually save us all, bro. The angry white women who don't take no shit might save us all because they know they have the husbands that are in positions of power. They understand what's going on. Sometimes I feel like our black women defer too much to the white man or defer too much to the white perspectives. And so they don't want to be like the angry black woman in the town hall meeting. But some of these Caucasian women don't care and they're saying the real. And so I'm like, yo, keep speaking that because we need all colors, creeds, and peoples to come together under the banner of truth if we're gonna get out from whatever this craziness is today.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, I had a couple more things I wanted to hit on before I let you go, but we talked so much on some good stuff. I want to talk about maybe this idea of mindfulness versus mindlessness and what you might think about that because I think that when you talk about strength mentally, a lot of it comes from that ability to be prepared, to be ready. And so mindfulness to me is the act of preparing yourself mentally and just being aware of what's going on versus mindlessness, which is just kind of reacting to everything in the moment, not really having a real basis of understanding. You're just kind of going with the flow. I don't know if maybe there's a something to be said for how we cultivate that mindfulness in a day and age like today.
And shoot, it relates to what we do when we're younger. Like
Mm,
I was just relating to my little man's, and to the point where I listen to him. Not only do I listen to him, I talk to him,
mm,
and I talk to him like how me and you talk. I tell him, hey, you're a kid. I'm not about to talk to you like a kid. I'm gonna talk to you like you got some sense. But
mm-hmm,
at a certain point in time, if you're talking to me, I'm not gonna listen to you do your baby talk. You
Mm.
know, so he comes to me when he talks to me, he tries to, formulate some
Articulate it.
consciousness.
Yeah. That's how
And
it should
so it's like,
be.
man, that's how it should be. So it's like, you're not gonna entertain me with something that
Right.
doesn't
You got to
spark my
raise the
creativity.
bar for these kids, man, because they are smart. They are intelligent. They do know. And sometimes we keep saying, oh, they don't know any better. And that's the reason that they don't know any better, because y'all keep saying that stuff. They do.
And then it's like,
They
where
know
do
a
my
lot more than
children
we
learn
think they
this
do.
stuff from? They
Yeah.
learn it from from whatever you got in front of them.
Y'all.
And so I'm gonna relate it to what he said to me the other day as far as being mindful.
Mm.
And, you know, it just amazes me. He's only 5 years old. He's like, I don't want to go to school to go to sleep. I just want to play and create things.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, I'm looking at him and I'm like, this is a 5-year-old boy. Why are you sleeping in school? First off, that's what I wanted to ask
Completely
him. But
missed that.
does it mean that he's really asleep? Or is he like saying that metaphorically, saying, you
Yeah, like on
know,
a deeper
they
level.
don't have me doing that
Oh, that'd be
anyway.
interesting.
Like I'm
Yeah.
just there. They don't have me playing. They don't have me creating. Dude, it is like there's only so much he can express 'cause he's 5. But he was just like, dude, I don't want to go to school. It's boring. I sleep. I'm like,
It's tough, man.
it's
It's
like,
tough, especially when they got a point. Sometimes the kids be having a point, man. They be like, "Yo, we're not doing nothing but just they teaching us how to be in prison one day. That's it."
and so it's just like being in the field, bro, of education.
Mhm.
I've seen it. I've seen it both on being a teacher and being a student. To have someone who engages you versus someone who even cares about their job, it's going to rub off on the student,
Yeah,
depending on if the student is actually going to want to be mindful about what they do, or
yeah,
they just don't care. Just
yeah,
like with anything in life, a job, a coach, just
yeah,
like who's ever trying to motivate you to do something, if you see that they're like lacking in engagement or just ultimately
if they
don't
don't
even
care,
show
it's
you
hard for
any.
you to care, right? I
Yeah.
say I say this a lot, man. The teacher's job is not to pass on information, at least not anymore. In my opinion, a teacher's job should be to spark curiosity. It should be
Mm-hmm.
to give the kid the ability to learn for themselves, to give the kid that spark, that 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 idea that leads them to go on their own path and find that answer for themselves. Because when you have a kid who's curious and who's passionate about something, ain't nothing gonna stop him. Problem
What's
is, we
that?
just force feeding them these book answers, telling them to memorize them, putting them on a test, and then just forgetting about them a couple months later. That's not real learning, and it's not really serving us. I think that if we started thinking of teachers as more like inspirational units instead of informational units, it might change the way
Mm,
in which we see society in a lot of ways. Um, because right now, the way it's set up, everything is just curriculum and rules based and figuring out how to best standardize these answers for this group of kids. And
mm,
I get it because you want to measure stuff, you want to make sure there's growth happening, but proof of the pudding is in the eating. The kids are growing and they're creating and they're being formative members of our society, then that should be proof enough that the education is working. You know, you can have somebody scoring 36s on their ACTs and then go and contribute nothing to society. Is that what we want? We have a bunch of 150 IQ people walking around that are serial killers. Is that what we want? Just because they have a high quote unquote intellect? I think there's more to life than that. And we have to start thinking in terms of what else there is to offer these kids instead of just books with information. You know, we got to start actually facilitating their growth. And a lot of times the kids know what they want to do. At
mm-hmm.
least they know better than what we give them credit for. And if we just use that, like we can use the energy and the playfulness and the insights of the kids and combine it with our wisdom, we still have been here longer. Just because we can talk to these kids as if they're sentient and respected human beings doesn't mean that I have to now pretend that we're on the same level. I'm still older than you. I still have wisdom that you don't have. So let me offer that to you. But at the same time, let me respect your divinity. Let me respect your ability. Let me sense the fact that, yo, this kid is all of the potential of all of us collected.
Mhm.
This is our future. And if we don't invest in that, then what the hell are we investing in? Because a
Mm.
lot of people out here aren't willing to invest in the next generation, and it shows. And it just makes me sad because I'm like, if what do you think it ends with you? Like you're the last chain on this grand, chain link of humanity, that you are it, because this history is going to keep on going, man. And the only way that history will remember you is by who you inspire and move today to make those changes that are going to reverberate into the future.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, let me get off my soapbox real quick. I was just kind of like, sometimes I just get like, it's
I be
just
wanting to give you snaps when you
love,
it's so
bro, love, bro. No, I just be thinking about these things a lot, and it's nice to actually speak with somebody who can understand it and have that perspective where it's not like I'm just talking mess. So sometimes I will kind of go off on tangents if I'm feeling it. But last thing I want to talk about today, Mental Health Monday on a Friday, is this idea of how we stay flexible in the face of the craziness of our day and age. I don't know if you have any experiences with that, because I know that sometimes for me, strength actually manifests as flexibility, the ability to say, okay, I'm not going to let this crush me. Maybe it'll diminish me a little bit in the moment, but I'm not going to let it break me. Right?
mm,
It's like when you were talking about how you had that injury in school. That was something where a physical lack of whatever it was in that knee structural integrity led to that injury, or somebody running into you led to that becoming exacerbated, right? And so in some ways, I feel like life is going to run into us. It's about how we respond. And if we
hey,
have worked up the flexibility and the strength mentally to where those things, they may take us out for a couple weeks, but they won't ultimately take us out for years or months or something where it's tragic. And like it's kind of like that bounce back period, that recovery period. How fast do you recover? That's what I'm thinking of when I say flexibility. I don't know if you have any
mm.
ideas with that. And
And
I don't know.
I love this one word called list. It means just how flexible, how
Wait, what's the word?
just lithe, Lithe, I
Okay.
believe.
Oh, I
So
know.
it
Okay.
means
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
flexible. I, I was like, let me get lithe,
Yeah.
and resilience.
That's a good word.
How resilient, when I'm playing or just in business, I'm not gonna get everybody to support my business. I'm not gonna get everybody to say, hey, I want to do business with you. People may say no. My own family members said, F your business. I'm not about to support you. But it's like, ouch, that hurts. If I'm resilient though, how do I handle it? I always question myself. If I'm strong, how do I handle this? If I'm resilient, how do I handle this? Expectations come from actually acknowledging a goal of what you want
Man,
to
you preaching.
see. So I'm like, okay, I'm resilient.
Mm-hmm.
I'm flexible.
Mm-hmm.
I tore my ACL, but guess what? I still got faith and desire on my mind. And
Man.
that when I said that, literally the energy from me working out and trying to, you know, get better in my professional basketball endeavors, it was all transferred to me doing my clothing and my designs and basically my photography, everything as far as what I wanted to do with my energy. It wasn't like this place, dude. It wasn't to the point where I'm like soaking and disappointed because of my leg. So, like you said, I was able to
Yeah.
be flexible. I was able to turn my head and look in another direction and say, all right, for the meantime, let's look in this direction. I
Mm.
can build something here without, having no physical capabilities hinder me,
Yeah.
because it hurts physically. It hurts mentally to try to do something, but you can't do it.
Yeah.
So in order to be strong, you have to start with a baseline of something. Yeah, you're not going to be good at it, but just keep on building it, keep on building it. That's going to build the discipline. That's going to build the strength. That's going to build the resilience to the point where people going to say anything about you, but you going to know you the best. So it's just like having that mindset, having that urge to just like stay motivated, stay inspired is being flexible in your mind. Yeah, days come by where I'll be like, man, what's next? Or
Mm.
what am I gonna do? But only for 20 seconds, 30 seconds. And then it's like, all right, I gotta keep it moving. Gotta keep it moving.
Bars,
Gotta keep
bars, bro. One thing you said that I wanted to hit on before we get off today is that idea of I am resilient, I am strong. So how would I respond? I think the way that you frame that is very important because sometimes we think, how would I respond if I was like that? Or sometimes we say, um, man, I'm trash, or I'm like the negative self-talk, and then we try to respond. You
Mhm.
framed it in such a way where you established yourself as the thing that you aspired towards, whether it's strength, resilience, whatever. You said, I am that. So how will I act? It's like you've oriented yourself in that truth. And now the way that you proceed or the way that you act as a result will be from a place of strength, resilience,
Mm.
anti-fragility. That idea is what fueled your actual move. So it's so important for us to realize that our words have power and the way that we speak to ourselves is very important. So if you are recovering from something, if you are in the middle of a situation, whatever that might be, it could be physical, it could be a relationship breakdown, it could be just individual stuff that you're going through. Make sure that you have that positive self-talk and you allow yourself to believe the reality, which is that you are beautiful, you are infinite, you are great, you are strong. And the more that you say those things, the more that you'll start to believe them subconsciously. And when you believe them subconsciously, then you'll act them out. And before you
Mm.
know it, you've created your own placebo effect. You've created your own feedback loop where you don't need external validation. You can create your own reality. And
Hey,
you know,
and that's how you hit the key right there. And that's how
major
you keep
keys,
on elevating.
major keys. All right. Well, people, if you made it this far, I appreciate you. This has been Mental Health Mondays. We're gonna do it again next week, and we're gonna hit you guys with some more information, some more perspectives about mental health, Black masculinity, everything in between, and hopefully, I can take something from it. Any last words for the people?
Man, just two words always, faith and desire. And and keep on manifesting, keep on believing, keep on inspiring, keep on achieving.
Amen. Amen. All right, people. This has been Tasso. You find me on the Instagram or Twitter at Time to Grow Dude. This is Willie Arts. You can find him at
IG, Divine Lead.
with three eyes, right? Divine Lee.
Yep, yep.
And then on the book if you are into that. Anyway, we'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Deuces, deuces.